Hello everyone, my name is Incoherence, and welcome to Oriental Empires. This game is currently in a closed beta state. As you can see here, it says confidential beta, so I suppose this game is only supposed to be played by spies or Soviet agents at this point. It's not really to be consumed by the general public. No. The game is currently in a closed beta, and the publishers, Iceberg Games, were kind enough to give me a key and allow me to record and publish videos all the way up until August 14th, and that is what I plan to do. On August 14th, the embargo will be reinstated so that the developers can take the game, go underground, return to their volcano lair, I suppose, like a Bond villain, and develop the game in private, I suppose. After which, I don't know, maybe we'll see an open beta. Maybe the full release will be upon us. I'm not sure what the next step is for Oriental Empires. All I know is that I have until August 14th to play and record the game. As I said, that is what I plan to do. Now, I've been following the development of this game for, I want to say, over a year now. Ever since the first press kits were released, the first press packets, the first screenshots and whatnot, the first interviews. That's when it caught my eye. One of the main hooks, I suppose, one of the main points of their marketing was that this game is being developed by a team which has members on it who used to work on the Total War series, and they worked on some of the best games in the series. That was Shogun through to Medieval 2. You have to, that's a bit of pedigree there. You have to have some faith in these guys because, as I said, they were involved in some of the best games. You had Shogun, you had Medieval, you had the revolutionary Rome 1, and then the Medieval 2 that just built upon that great foundation. So you kind of have to have, as I said, some faith in these guys. And for that reason, I hope this game does really well. I hope it is lots of fun to play. I had fun playing it just for the half hour or an hour I played earlier, just to test it. Not to mention, I hope it does well, so that there is a bit more competition in the strategy genre. Not that this game is really a competitor for Total War. They're not exactly comparative games. I mean, there are some similarities, and they probably share a lot of the same audience, but this is closer to Civilization and Endless Legend than it is to Total War, I would say. But I digress. What I want to do is I want to jump into a campaign here, just to give you a quick overview. As I said, I played for roughly an hour, so I'm not exactly an expert, but I know more than enough to play the game. But I'm not well-versed, because I kind of like it that way. I like to go in blind so that we can learn the game together. Anyway, we have jumped into a single-player campaign here. Now, there are a lot of factions. There are quite a few factions here to play, but unfortunately, there's only 5 to begin. We have the Shang, the Zhao, the Han, the Chu, and the Shu, but we can't play any of these other guys. We have to unlock them, and to unlock them, we have to play at least 200 turns, which I would think is just shy of a full campaign. We can see here the max value for turns is 300, so I guess, and that's the default value, so that's really, that would be a full campaign, 300 turns. So we have to play 2/3 of a campaign to unlock all of these other factions. What's interesting about this game at the moment is there are landed and settled peoples in southern China, and then there are a bunch of other factions such as, who is this? The Dingling, the Shangnu, and the Xianbei. Now, my Chinese pronunciation is not great. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I am a white Westerner from Canada, and I'm not stellar at Chinese pronunciation. So let's just get that out of the way. But moving on, it's interesting that there are landed factions and there are nomadic factions. We can see right away that there's a bit of a divergence in playstyle right there, which would be very interesting. But as I said, 5 factions to choose from to begin with. I've already chosen the Han. That is the faction I'm going to play as. We have a few traits here. A power development rate of 20%, or rather an increase of 20%. We get an increase in peasant happiness by 10%. We get a 20% increase in kill chance with crossbows. I suppose we're supposed to use them as a crutch. You can see a valiant crossbowman here staring over Korea into China itself. I guess he's some sort of god of war. I mean, look how big he is. My god. Unfortunately, all of these traits mean that we have a penalty of 10% combat effectiveness. I guess our dudes are weaker for whatever reason. And then, of course, we are a landed faction. All 5 starting factions are landed, which is a little bit boring. They should throw a nomadic faction in to begin with. We're going to be playing on normal difficulty because I'm a wimp like that. But anyway, we may as well jump in here right now. Now, I don't want to, go too deep into explaining all of the game mechanics. I'd much rather just kind of play the game and explain things organically as they come up rather than, doing fucking a tutorial for 30 minutes. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, here we are on the campaign map. This is the window through which you'll be playing the game, really. On the right, we have a few tabs which range from diplomacy, technology, to finance, etc., etc. In the center of our screen, we have a city. Cities, of course, are where you will be raising your income. It will be where you recruit units and shit like that. So they're very important, and much like Civ, you actually found many cities throughout your entire campaign. You were actually building a nation. Very interesting. As opposed to Total War, where you are a nation that just conquers other already existing nations. So first of all, we have a massive difference between this game and Total War. So that is why I compare this game more to Civ and Endless Legend, more like 4X games than it is Total War. Anyway, we'll take a look at our city, but first I want to point out on the left here we have an outliner. So this is our settlement tab. Of course, we only have one settlement by the name of Erlitau. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm sure it's going to mutate and change like a cancer cell throughout this video. Ooh, what a bad comparison there, cancer. Let's not talk about. Jeez. All right, moving on, we actually have our forces tab here. So we have a single unit here that is led by our general and faction leader. We'll talk to him in just a few moments. We also have a settler unit. And then on this third tab here, we have notifications. So this woman says, "Greetings, you are located on the floodplain of the Yellow River. Yada yada yada. We need to make another city, or rather found another city, 8 to 10 hexes away from our capital, Erlitau. Which we will do with this settler unit to the east. Looking around, we can't really see any great places to do it right off the bat. There are a few resources on the map that we want to look out for when we're building cities. The first one being deer, which is wild game. The second one being fish. And the third, weirdly enough, being rhinoceroses. I didn't realize this, but apparently rhinoceroses are pretty prevalent in ancient Chinese art and whatnot. We actually see 3 tiles of rhinos on the map right now. And then these are recommended places to settle. We can't actually settle within 4 tiles of our current city. That is an absolute minimum, it appears. But anyway, this is our settler unit, and I think we want to build a city perhaps down here. The advisor said 8 to 10 tiles away, and 8 tiles is a hell of a long ways. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles, 9, 10, so somewhere in this range is where they want us to build a city. So if we were to scout by this rhino tile, I'm sure we could find a place. There's another resource on the map, which is encounters. Basically, they are people or things happening that if we move a unit into that tile, shit happens. So this one, a notable bandit leader lurks here. This one is a famous craftsman. Maybe he can be persuaded to join your services and he can just, I don't know, build us the most exquisite chair we've ever seen. I think we really ought to... Yeah, we'll move down to the... this. Oh my good god, that's not what I meant to do at all. We'll move down to the south here. Now, I mentioned earlier that rhinos are important in ancient China because this is ancient China. The game is supposed to take place between, I think it was 1500 BC all the way through to 1500 AD, so we will be advancing greatly in technology as time goes on, etc., etc. Now, here is our general and leader, Zhu Shi. We can actually zoom in here and see him right the hell there. So this is kind of interesting. This really interests me, actually, and impresses me how closely you can zoom in and then how far you can zoom out seamlessly. It's very wonderful. You can zoom out to see your entire nation, And then zoom in to see the fucking sweat beating on your general's brow. And he kind of looks like a tubby bastard. I don't mean to, insult our faction leader, but he should lose a few pounds. He should shed a few. You look nothing like your Tinder profile. We can also see farmers in the fields, etc., etc. Speaking of fields, I suppose we should take a look at our city. So this is the city management screen, really the second most important screen you will be managing from. We can see a few tabs here. We have an income tab with its breakdown, income, expenses, etc. We have a food tab. We're currently having a surplus of two units. I'm not sure what that would be. Bushels. We have an unrest tab, which is a little bit confusing at first glance. So what's going on here is, I say it's confusing because it's not exactly clear what is a positive value and what is a negative value. I mean, happiness, you can pretty well conclude that's a positive value, and dissatisfaction is a negative one. So we have a negative value of 44 and then a positive value of 20, bringing our total value to 24. But I'm just saying that could be a little bit clearer. There are actually two classes of people that we have to appease, the nobles and the peasants. Apparently the nobles are quite pissed due to local factors in previous grievances. What are local factors? I suppose there's shit in the streets, stuff like that. Homelessness perhaps upsets the nobles, I'm not sure. The peasants are just fucking completely content for some reason. We then have a population and population growth value. So the population of Irlitau is 10. And then we have a growth value of 12.6. I don't know what that means. I have no idea how many growth points you need to, to get additional population. We'll find out as the turns go on. So that's kind of the overview of all the values and resources in the city. On the bottom here, we can see that our population of 10 is farming. Our entire population is just engrossed in their farming. It's unbelievable. There are actually two additional tabs that we should take a look at. The first is construction. So these are all the buildings currently in our city and that we can build in the future. So right now, our town it's just a town with a fucking wooden fence. This wooden palisade makes people happy, I suppose. And it can also be burned down by fire arrows. My god. Fire arrows are a constant menace. Always be on the lookout for fire arrows. So, we can build some buildings here. A palace, a city, which would be a settlement upgrade. We can get to that later. We don't really need to look at that. We can build a boyar, which will allow us to recruit militia light archers. We can build a bazaar, and we can build a granary. I'm going to say we should build a bazaar, as we are going to be founding a few cities, and we want to be able to trade between those cities. So that's going to cost us 500 golden doubloons. I don't know what this currency is. Yen, for all I know, I don't know what it is. I'm just going to say doubloons. Golden coins. It's going to cost 500. That's almost like a quarter, nearly 1/5 of, well, it's a quarter. Just under a quarter. Jesus, my math is so wrong. Let's just start over here. It's 500 gold coins to build this bazaar, and we're going to do it. Let's just pretend that I know how to do fractions for a minute and move on. So you can see here that we've placed down a little yellow thing. This is all of the buildings we can build before we need to upgrade our settlement. We don't have to worry about it right now because we've only built one building. Now, you can also see each tile has this little button. And what this button means, we can improve this hex into a farm. So there's actually 4 different improvements we can do. We can build a farm, we can clear some forests, we can build roads, and we can also construct additional buildings outside. For example, in these hills we can build a pavilion, which is basically a vacation spot for our nobles, and it'll actually make them happy because they can put down their pillows in the city, hike out to the mountains, do a bit of skiing, come back, and just be so totally happy with their lives that they'll forget that there's shit literally running down the streets. Okay. What we can do, though, is improve this 6th tile. And then we can convert it to farmland so that our people can have a little bit more food. They will bone even quicker and make more people in Irlitau. It'll be wonderful. You can see our population. This is basically a labor graph. So 6 people are farming right now. 4 people are building a bazaar and also building a bit of farmland. So this is just how you can tell who's doing what at a quick glance. Not important, so let's move on. We will close this screen, head back to the overview, the main campaign screen. I suppose we can take a look at the tabs on the right as well. So we have diplomacy, technology, which we'll get to in a second. Edicts, very unimportant. We don't really need to look at it right now. Basically, we can issue edicts which have various effects and upkeeps. Right now, we don't need to issue this edict at all. So we will move on to the financial tab. I really like how detailed these breakdowns are. I like to have this sort of information at my fingertips, so I appreciate the information. Unfortunately, this is a little bit unclear. So we have a value of 2,000 in the other. That's basically the purse we began with, 2,000 golden doubloons, whatever the hell these things are. I'm going to say yen. They look like yen, but I really don't know what the currency was called in ancient China. So they're doubloons, golden coins. I don't know. I really don't know. We have 2,000 of those, though. That value is going to disappear next turn, so really, our income is 230 per turn. So let's not get confused here. We don't want to spend and blow all of our money in one go. You know, blow your wad before you've hit the... I don't even know where I'm going with that. Let's move on to player status. So basically, this is a faction overview. We can see our traits. We've already done that. We can also see that there are a few ways to actually win this campaign. Through conquest, through Son of Heaven, which basically means all the people of China, or at least 75% of the people of China, agree to elect you as emperor, and therefore you win a cultural victory. So basically you acquire cultural victory points, and you win. To win a cultural victory, you must amass 50 culture victory points and have 50% more points than the second highest player. We'll get to those points in just a minute, I'm sure. And then the points of victory. This is basically amalgamation of the other three. So there's various ways to win the campaign. You can check out the description if you really want to. Not really important to us, as we are not going to be winning a campaign any second now. Influence basically measures your culture and authority. So these culture points are acquired through researching technology and building buildings. We have 0 right now because we've done dick all. Authority is basically a value assigned to the authority of your faction leader, your royal family, and your state as an institution. Right now we have 0 authority, which means that people can, I guess, overthrow us very easily. I'm not sure. We can also automate stuff, but we're not too concerned about that right now. And then, of course, we have a screen here where we can weigh ourselves up against any other factions we've met. Unfortunately, we have not met any factions. We're all alone. Oh, we're so lonely right now. But anyway, the last and probably the most important tab is technology and culture. Now, this is really interesting because most games, such as Civilization and Total War, you only select a single technology at a time, and you research them one by one. No matter the tree, you know, one could be civic, one could be military. You only get one technology at a time. Whereas in Oriental Empires, you actually select one per tree, and there are actually 4 different trees. So the first tree/tab is the power tab. This is your military. The second tab is craft, which is industry. The third tab is thought, which I guess you could call it like philosophy and religion. And then the fourth tab is knowledge, which is basically science. We can see here that there's a planet, which stands for astronomy, which is most definitely a science. And those of you out there with the eagle eyes can see that there are tiles on the right that stand out. They don't, match the rest. For example, we have a green tile in our red tree. This is a tile from the knowledge tree and is a prerequisite for some of these tiles in the power tree. Likewise, this rammed earth wall is a prerequisite for some technologies in the craft tree, so on and so forth. So they're kind of intertwined, interestingly enough. So you really need to be aware of what you're researching at what time to unlock this or that, etc., etc. Anyway, we're going to select some technologies here. Some of the first technologies we can research in the power tab is rammed earth wall and military drill. We'll get military drill for the units. Craft, we can research silk, jade, precious metalwork, that's like jewelry and whatnot, and bronze making. I think we want bronze making so that we can clear forests. That would be very helpful. As for thought, See, here's where we increase and gain those culture points. We research some of these technologies, and that gives us some points. Sometimes they give us authority. For example, divination will give us authority. Let's do that. And then we can research horse domestication, composite bows, or the calendar. I think we'll research the calendar for the increase in authority. And there we go. That's pretty much all of the tabs on the right. In the top left, I suppose this is the turn counter. This will display the current turn, I would assume. We have our finances, and then in the bottom left we have a quick overview of our faction. So of course this is our faction emblem as the Han, and then we have 0 culture and 0 authority. Authority is important because, let's see, they explain it under the general tab, I suppose. Firstly, has a personal authority rating, which is added to the authority rating of your empire. Okay, so no, apparently they don't exactly explain what authority is, but the more authority you have, the better, essentially. But anyway, I suppose we can end the turn here and watch our units move. Now, there is no real-time combat in Oriental Empires. It's not exactly turn-based combat either. It's a little bit of a hybrid. It's very interesting. So basically what you do is you set orders and your units carry them out at the end of the turn, almost as if you were a general who is not on the battlefield issuing orders and battle plans, and then your men carry them out. So we've got our general, Jushi, Tsushi? I'm not sure. He's leading his settlers to these rhinos in the east here. We don't exactly want to settle exactly on those rhinos, so perhaps this hex would be better. I think what we need to do is head back to early... Okay, you have to excuse the performance a bit. I tested the game out, and I've got it running on medium graphic settings. It just does not play very well right now. Again, it's in closed beta, I must stress this, so the optimization is probably not up to par, but I must point out that you have to forgive the performance. There's nothing I can do. So we checked out the building tab earlier, but we neglected to check out the recruitment tab. So you can see here that the recruitment is split into 2 different classes. So we have nobles, which are of course these upset bastards up here, and then the militiamen, which are the peasants. So the nobles are rich and the peasants are poor. Who'da thunk? And then we have settlers. I'm not sure what other civilian units we will eventually be able to build, maybe trade caravans. I have no idea, but for now, all we can recruit is settlers. And we might as well do. It's going to cost us 500 gold coins. That's not so bad, though. 2 turns worth of income to recruit these settlers and found another city. Why the hell not? We also have available to us 1 unit of nobles. You can see here in the top right, there's a little yellow dude. That just denotes that there's 1 unit available. So we're going to recruit 1 unit of nobles, which is going to cost us 35 coins per turn. And here are their stats in addition, if you're really interested. They are armor piercing, which is kind of crazy. We'll recruit those guys. We'll also get these spearmen. Now, I can recruit them wherever the hell I want. I'm going to get these spearmen to show up at the south gate. I'm going to get them to assemble in the south, because what I want to do is I want to get wherever those settlers were. How would I select those settlers? I would click the banner. Yes, there we go. Okay, I want this other unit of settlers to found another city. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go, but I feel like there's a nice amount of fields in the south here. In the north, it's just a river. There's not a lot of room for a city, although I suppose maybe up along the river here would not be so bad. We should have access to the river. The more I think about it, the more... Oh, what the hell? There's an encounter here. A particularly beautiful girl is rumored to live here. She might be a... Oh, boy. Swiggity swooty. I'm coming for that booty. We're going to show up there next turn and be like, yo, girl, what up? I hear you, DTF. She wants to be a royal concubine. That's very bizarre, actually. We're just going to show up and be like, we heard you want to be a high-class prostitute. And she'll be like, that's right. It's basically the plot to Pretty Woman. It's actually Julia Roberts showing up outside our walls. Okay, so I think we want to send some settlers to the north to follow the river, because, as we know, rivers are wonderful I mean, if civilization taught me anything, it's that rivers are the place to be, basically. So we'll send the nobles with those settlers up north. We'll get the militiamen to visit the courtesan. That sounds so weird. Or rather, the concubine. She's going to be a concubine, which is like a totally different thing. They're going to visit her totally platonically, and then they're going to move on to visit our new city, which should be founded pretty soon by Zushi. Tsuchi? I'm pretty sure it's Jushi. Oh my god, I don't even know. I looked up a little. I looked up very briefly how to pronounce some of these sounds, and I've already forgotten, which is fucking fantastic. Can you believe it? Okay, so we have some shit going on. We ought to end the turn, and then we can watch our dudes move. The weird thing is, the farther I zoom out, the quicker my guys go. If I get real up and personal, they actually slow down to a realistic speed. So it's kind of interesting. You can watch stuff happen from all the way up here, or you can zoom right down. It's kind of hard to explain without having... Okay, so apparently we've scouted a little bit more, and there's not a lot going on here, actually. I was hoping there'd be more resources, but there is an encounter, a notable statesman. He might be able to give you some advice. Okay, sure, why not? I kind of imagine that these spearmen have to wait here for a turn. I can't say. I really don't know. For some reason, my settlers are one tile ahead of my axemen. I couldn't say why. It's very weird. Let's speak very briefly about the battle system. So as I said, the battle system is kind of unique. So you can see here, we have a tile representing our axemen, our dagger axemen here looking dapper with all of their matching vests and plumed helmets. Speaking of their helmets, it's kind of a bizarre shape in it, but I digress. Under these tiles, you can see these 4 shield with arrows. I don't know exactly what you would call that, but basically that denotes the orders currently that these men are currently... Look at all these fucking rhinoceroses. Jesus Christ, get out of here. We're trying to farm and shit, and you guys are coming up and... Like, look at this. They're like 10 paces outside of our farmland. These guys don't even care. They're just like, that's a rhino. To be fair, though, I would not try to chase off a rhino because they're fucking terrifying. But apparently hippos are crazier. Anyway, back to the task at hand. So we can actually give these guys new orders. So they're currently set to attack, but there are, what are there, like 7 or 8 different orders in total. There is attack, there is charge, harass, outflank, ambush, defend, reserve, and withdraw. Basically, we can issue orders to different units and they will execute those orders simultaneously. So let's imagine for a moment that my axemen and my spearmen are in one stack. What I can do is select my spearmen, tell them to attack. I can then select my axemen, tell them to outflank, meaning that my spearmen will engage the enemy, and as soon as that happens, my axemen will actually head around the flank. And in this way, you can kind of build complex battle plans. Very interesting, very interesting. So it's not exactly a turn-based system, it's not exactly a real-time strategy, but it's some sort of hybrid. Anyway, we have built our farm outside of Irla 2. How about that bazaar? How are we doing there? We are 1 turn away from completing that. Apparently, fucking half my population is working on this thing. It better be some crazy fucking bazaar. I want to see rugs. I want to see camels for some reason. It's gotta be crazy. I want it to be like the Sultan's Bazaar, you know? I want people to come from far and wide to visit this thing. Alright. We're gonna found a new city. It's gonna be 8 to 10 tiles away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles. Okay, so this is 8, 9, 10. You know what? Let's... There's no great place to put it. We're gonna set it right in the middle of this wide open space. That means we can take advantage of the rhinoceroses. I hope this isn't too far away. I almost think it's too far away. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we'll go Nah, we'll go right in the middle. I don't really know what effect distance is going to have. I have no idea. But we'll found one city down here, and we'll found another city somewhere in the north. Anyway, everyone, let's just end this stack without orders. My gosh, say it ain't so. Yeah, we do want to end the turn, actually. Yeah. We'll end the turn here. We'll get our units on the move. We'll found that city, and we'll probably end it here. But worry not. We will be back with more footage of Oriental Empires. Oh my god, it's fucking winter. I don't believe it. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. There's actually a bit of wild game to the east of us. So if we were to found a city here, we will reap the benefits of these rhinos. We'll get the wild game. We have a lot of open plains to farm. It is ideal. Let's found a city. Yanxi. That is our new... Oh. Whoops. We really should have done that encounter because it's disappeared. As soon as they found out we moved into Yanxi, it was that... What was it? That noble or something? I can't recall. It was an administrator of some kind. He just fucking... He up and left. I don't know where he went. But anyway, we founded Yanxi. Our general, Zhu Shi, lives in Yanxi. Or rather, he's just camping there for now. And he will do for the next little while, I suppose. He's going to do a bit of hunting. Okay, so these wild game provide 3 extra food, meaning that Yanxi is producing 5 food in general. I think we should start farming. Let's farm... what is this, a trade route? A road? Oh yeah, Erlitau, domestic export route, value 0. Shit, we should build some stuff to sell. Okay, we're gonna build a farm here. Looks like all of our population is currently engaged in farming, or rather building a farm. And that's just fine. What the hell's going on with this concubine? Do I need to... Oh. Have I frozen? It appears I've frozen. What a perfect time and a perfect way to end the video. So I was going to... I was going to visit the concubine. And that's the exact moment the game decided to freeze. We can't even save it. Shit. Okay, so that's... Oh, yep, we've crashed. All right, everyone. So this has been Oriental Empires. I guess we're going to end it here. I will come back next video with the autosave, and we'll continue on with Ji Shi or Zhou Shi. I can't even remember our leader's name. And the city of Yanxi, Erlitau, etc., etc. I hope you all enjoyed this quick little look into Oriental Empires. As I said, there will be more videos coming all the way up until August 14th. If you like this and you want to see more, be sure to leave a like, be sure to leave a comment. Obviously, that will motivate me to put more up. If you want to get updates on uploads or anything like that, check me out on social media. Twitter is probably the best way to get a hold of me these days. And I suppose if you want to see more of this, just stick around. I don't have a set day for it yet, but most likely it'll be one every day or every other day until the 14th. Anyway, everyone, as always, my name is Incoherence. This has been a quick look into Oriental Empires. You guys are fucking awesome, and I will see you all later. Have a good couple of days. I don't know. Have a good weekend, I suppose.